Attack on Titan has concluded, and you might have certain inquiries. Therefore, in today's video, we'll be going over the resolution of Attack on Titan so you can understand precisely what you just witnessed. To begin with the super fundamentals following Zeke's death, the rumbling is halted because Eren needs to keep in touch with someone of royal blood at all times to have the rumbling triggered. Therefore, there is no interaction with Zeke, which stops the rumbling completely in its tracks. Moving forward, Eren is unable to turn the rumbling back on unless, somehow, he's able to summon Historia. So Mikasa has an abrupt awareness of the moment Eren revealed Mikasa's falsehoods regarding the Ackerman gene, and humiliating Armin can't be their last meeting. His remarks can't be, "I always hated you." While she considers this from the crater where the Doomsday Titan once stood, Armin, as the colossal Titan, makes his way out. It's evident that Armin's expression shows anguish as he realizes he had to confront what Eren had just done. He was left with one option, which was to take his own brother's life, but the hallucinogenia is attempting to go back to its host. It is restrained by Reiner as the armored Titan, and this is significant as the hallucinogenia was discovered within a basin. The tree itself is the organism that was attached perhaps 2,000 years ago to Ymir Fritz, who built the initial Titan. Simply expressed, this is the organism itself that is accountable for the genesis of the Titans, more so than King Fritz or Ymir. So this altercation with Reiner is equally significant to the one that is with Eren. Interestingly enough though, Eren is still alive, most likely due to his ability to regenerate as a Titan shifter. He then changes, nuking the crater and becoming a massive colossal Titan similar to that of Armin. Ymir Fritz granted him authority to act in this way. This results in one of the finest anime battles ever created. Armin and Eren in the colossal Titans fight each other, and since the beginning, we have desired to see the colossal Titans go at it. As this occurs, the hallucinogenia starts to produce smoke, which all residents of Fort Salta, the final remaining Mali stronghold, can see. So they inhale it, similar to Rogako, Connie's hometown. They can now become Titans with a single cry from a single person possessing the Beast Titan's ability. But this is significantly different and much worse. The actual hallucinogenia emitted smoke that caused a delayed change. Shout or not, they're becoming absolute Titans. Levi, observing this, instructs Mikasa and Pieck to get on Falco and depart that location, as the Titan shifters and Ackerman are not impacted in any way by listening to this as Pieck's wit's end is reached for the first time. She is capable of changing hundreds of times in a row. For months, she lives inside her Titan and infiltrates Jaegerists, although this particular one goes too far and is excessive, which demonstrates how difficult this is. As a female, she was capable of handling a great deal, and this is the last breaking point. Levi gives her a point, telling Pieck that they both are aware of what has to be improved. This is a reference to more than anyone else. The primary idea of Attack on Titan is Levi having to murder his own friends or see their passing. This occurred with Squad Levi, Isabel, Erwin, and the Survey Corps. Pieck, like Levi, is aware of what must be done since Pieck is thus comparable to Levi. Pieck thinks she battles for her buddies and comrades first. This was demonstrated at the conclusion of Part 1 and the beginning of Part 2. When she reveals to Gabby that they're not fighting for Mali. They battle to keep their friends safe and maintain their lives. This also applies to Levi since he doesn't defend anyone apart from them. The hallucinogenia triggers the change in what's remaining of Mali's civilians into Titans alongside Jean and Connie as they remember the day they set fire to the bodies, to which this is a reference, burning the remains of those who perished in the suicide charge of Shiganshina. Next, the hallucinogenia calls forth the pure Titans to advance on Reiner, and Eren engages Armin in combat. Pieck and Annie offer backup as the Cart and female Titans. Right now, they have to wait for Levi and Mikasa as they are unable to step into this conflict because they are both necessary in order to murder Eren in order to save everyone. As she finds this out, she falls into a dreamlike condition due to her deadbeat partner awakening in a tranquil location where a cabin is located in a serene country with mountains and butterflies. Erin rouses Mikasa from a peaceful snooze, as we are endowed with Erin's short hair. The cause for this reason is that following the passing of Erwin, as well as the complete activation of his abilities and memories, Erin became indifferent generally about life, and as a result, he developed longer hair, signifying that there was nothing left for Erin to live for other than proceeding forward and finishing the rumbling. The cause of his short hair here is because he loves Mikasa, and thus he adopted a short hairstyle, which Mikasa also prefers Erin to appear like, and to be honest, so do I. In addition, the reason Mikasa's hair is returning to normal is because of Erin's perception of her, not her short hair. Mikasa did grow her hair longer, but eventually it was accidentally sliced at the knot. This is also the reason why Mikasa's hair was so short in the last season. That wasn't her goal. It was only an incident, as well as the knowledge that Erin hadn't laid eyes on her until far after, when she had short hair. He didn't possess ample time to enjoy Mikasa with that hair. Therefore, he associates her with longer hair, and in an instance, closely like episode 1 Under the Tree, Mikasa awakens and sobs unexpectedly. This is similar to Erin's nightmare in the first episode, which was actually memories from Ymir, his future self, and what lies ahead. Mikasa questioned why she feels uncomfortable here, which is why Erin claims they are unable to return at this time. Following their escape that evening, they had, in this timeline of Mali, essentially one where Erin inquired as to her intentions. They flee after she declares her love for him. Together, they spend the remainder of Erin's life in the outlying areas, calmly, much like Mikasa's living arrangement with her parents in a log cabin deep in the forest, remote from civilization. This is a reflection of Mikasa going back to her happiest time, the time of her early years. Therefore, in that area of time when Mali's war ended and 2 months had passed since and the Paradis invasion would shortly start, fleeing was the only means for someone to live, and with that, Armin was probably already dead then. He was likewise unable to give up Historia and carry on the never-ending slaughter with the rumbling to destroy everyone on Earth outside the walls. So running away was their only option. This, above everything else, attests to Erin being forced to turn on the rumbling. So he either committed genocide or gave Mali the chance to commit genocide. He only had 4 years left, and it was indeed she who urged him to flee with him at this time. This indicates that Mikasa consistently made the correct decision by keeping her love a secret from Erin, as he would have had to renounce his goal, the world, and even Armin for her, leading to the two hugging. Erin ends the conversation by cutting to the chase, telling Mikasa to create one final vow for him, which was to discard the scarf once he passes away. This is because he feels deeply hurt by what he put Mikasa through, and consequently, Erin believes that the best development for Mikasa would be to disregard him as a whole, considering that this is the mass killer who carried out genocide and omnicide. Additionally, Mikasa has an abundance of life remaining. Thus, he wants her to be devoid of him, while a bird hovers overhead them, receptively recalling the first Attack on Titan episode, and one of the continual reminders that people are not free, with the bird standing for Erin's struggle for independence. Although Erin informed her of this, she cannot guarantee such a thing. So as Mikasa emerges from the vicarious timeline, she shares with Armin and Levi that Erin is located within the colossal Titan's head. Erin told Mikasa where his head was, and since he believes that only she should be able to kill him, Erin is essentially letting Mikasa kill him. As a result, Levi uses Hanga's invention, the Thunder Spear, to clear the way for Mikasa to dash in and instantly cut off Erin's head. Representing the last moments of Mikasa and Erin back at the cabin together, where Mikasa says her well-known phrase, "See you later, Erin." The reason she says this is because this isn't her farewell. She plans to return to him when the time is right. Holding Erin's severed head, while Ymir smiles down at them. At last, Eren and Mikasa share a kiss. As Mikasa transcends the lengthy generational cycle of animosity between Eldia and Marley, similar to how Mikasa received her last moments with Eren, he converses with Armin. And it is discovered that Eren gave Armin a beating due to his intense desperation to get Armin and Mikasa beyond them to produce a distance and shield them, in particular, from himself. He was careful to do this since it offered the benefit of giving whoever killed him the appearance of heroes who rescued humanity, particularly as Eldians, as it would instantly alter everyone's perspective since they were formerly referred to as sinners and devils. Armin becomes aware that Eren is positioning them as intrinsically heroic, similar to what the Tiber family informs Armin. Since Eren injured 80% of the world's population, they won't be able to respond for a while, so he tells Armin to walk alongside him as they talk about Ymir Fritz. The reason they're taking a childhood approach at the docks is due to the fact that Armin wishes, just like Mikasa, he could travel back in time to their childhood. Eren displays flaming water to Armin. It represents magma leaking from an explosion. Eren thinks that for 2,000 years, Ymir has been following King Fritz. After everything he's done to Ymir, she kept following him, and the explanation is that since Ymir Fritz has been through all of this, Stockholm Syndrome developed, and she unexpectedly developed feelings for King Fritz. You might witness this happening in how she glanced at King Fritz all the time, how he would behave with other ladies, and the way Ymir would see them from a distance. Thus, she had been looking for someone to release herself from her attachment to Fritz. That individual showed up 2,000 years later, known as Mikasa Ackerman. Mikasa's decision to remember Eren and kill him to break the loop implies that Ymir never had the fortitude to eliminate Fritz and put an end to the war cycle, since he was the sole entity that Ymir had in her existence in addition to the kids he gave her. Thus, she looked for someone who could, and if you can recall, two of Mikasa's most significant moments throughout her entire character are when the attack Titan first emerges, as well as in this episode when she says that she is the strongest. This is the one trait that Mikasa has that gives her the fortitude to break the hate cycle and the affection for the guy or individual who would proceed with the pattern, aka King Fritz and Eren Yeager. Thus, Armin, completing the picture, discovered that at the medal ceremony, this is Eren's future soul that, sensed upon touching Historia, then informs Armin that since the attack and founding powers coordinated, his head is genuinely completely screwed up because there is a future and a past instantaneously in his mind. 2,000 years of history as well as an endless supply of the future, simultaneously engaging in a violent orchestra within his mind. So either he was forced to complete this because, well, he was pressed for time. He was unable to hang on for as long as he already had an unexpected turn back then. They then changed the view to the sea, the same one from Season 3's finale. Armin then asks Eren if it's possible for Mikasa to forget about him and to move on to someone else who is leading a happy life. He remarks, "But who can honestly tell?" Enraged, Armin strikes Eren in response. He mentions that Eren has not yet received forgiveness. He gets reprimanded for not thinking and ignoring the love and feelings of Mikasa, reminding him of her beliefs, for she even loves Eren more than her own life. So can he really just tell her to move on from him, given that she loves him so much? Doesn't it seem unfair? Eren then yells at the conclusion of his life, following more than 20 years during which all he had were his parents being killed, fighting conflict after conflict 2,000 years in the past, and numerous more of that in the future. He doesn't wish that for her. He wants her to contemplate him for the remainder of her days, even 10 years after his death. This sequence sets up other scenes, all the way through Attack on Titan, where Eren is shown breaking down to some extent and displaying feelings that began in the first episode. When he awakens, he is observed sobbing because of the nightmare he had. Another instance during the same season is Eren wrapping Mikasa in the scarf, as he wanted to always remind Mikasa that he would always keep her safe. He appears once more crumbling at the conclusion of Season 2, sobbing while promising to keep the individual safe whom he valued most amongst the Titans, Mikasa. He would do this in Season 3, as in the cave underneath the church, he desired to abandon himself there while he sobbed and cried, notwithstanding the extreme strain of his truth that he has to continue moving forward and proceeding. Additionally, in the last season following Liberio's raid, after learning about Sasha's passing, he breaks down, descending into fits of crazed laughter and sobbing with the knowledge of what he's done as well as his failing sanity. He eventually gave in and expressed regret to a little Eldian for what he was about to experience, which was rumbling through sobbing and pleading for atonement. Despite the fact that this last scene has over 10 years of certain times during Attack on Titan, where Eren cracks beneath the pressure and crumbles, revealing his actual self and internal feelings, the reality is that he might have appeared to have a toughened exterior, yet in reality, he was compelled to take a certain position. These sequences hold significance in realizing this, since we are able to sketch from those earlier times to demonstrate that Eren was putting up a front the whole time to enable him to deal with his circumstances, endure it all, and save everyone. In this capacity, which explains the rumbling opening, the line, "I never wanted to play the king," has been sung. Throughout the whole of Attack on Titan, Eren has no pretenses. This is who he is. The actual Eren Yeager, the individual who was concealing the pain from all of that. He was never permitted to emerge, as from the beginning he had to descend this course of wiping out the world, and if he could choose, he would be in the cabin with Mikasa. There wouldn't be any noise or any Titans. Eren, like most people, doesn't want to die and longs to be with Mikasa as well as everyone else. Armin tells Eren that there must be another choice after hearing this, but Eren responds that he slaughtered billions of people, and as such, how could he be pardoned even if they had not stopped him? He would have flattened everything and everyone. He then remembers his birth and receiving the name Eren from his father Grisha. Eren recognizes everything he has gone through and the steps necessary to become the greatest antagonist of all time, but all he remembers are the few words his father said, "Eren, you are free." Eren ultimately despises himself for who he has become. Armin awakens to see Mikasa emerging from the dust with Eren's head. His final decision appears to have been made, using his last deed to make all Titans disappear, implying that anyone remaining on the planet that is either a wall, a pure Titan, or a Titan shifter will revert back and become regular people once more, restoring his friends' lives and those that were harmed a millennia before. Also disclosed that Eren spoke with each of them in a manner similar to how Eren discussed it with Armin and Mikasa. He informed Connie that his mother would revert back to a human, Annie, and that she would live a long life, as Annie mentioned while crying. She didn't request any of this, calling him a suicidal blockhead. Peak, though, wishes she could have spoken with Eren, since she has never had the opportunity to do so. One of the more emotional moments is when Levi witnesses his deceased peers from over the years, Aluo, Petra, Hanga, Erwin, and Maikei. He understands that this is what their hearts were committed to. Connie and Jean both witness the ghost of Sasha giving them her whole heart. Reiner returns to his mother, who informs him that following him is more than sufficient and that she is not dependent on his father. All she needs is her son. Mikasa proceeds to place Eren to rest beneath the tree spot that he cherishes to relax. The initial location where we saw Eren in attack on Titan's first episode. Following that, Secretary Moore is faced with the Elders, who provide information that the strength of the Titan has vanished and that Eren Yeager is deceased. They seem obviously upset and prepared to battle, but Armin breaks it up as he declares that he is an Eldian from Paradis, who killed the attack Titan, Eren Yeager. Mikasa and Ymir meet each other. We can clearly see her eyes for the first time. Mikasa thanks her with a smile for enabling her to live and interact with Eren in this reality as she comprehends what she was experiencing with her lengthy nightmare love for King Fritz. Later on, for 3 years to be exact, Historia is seen nurturing her daughter, following the day that is referred to as the Battle of Heaven and Earth. Those who endured that day and will always be connected to that day's trauma, and with all of this, fresh worries surface. As a result, the country of Eldia has created a new army under the command of the Jaegerists, worried about reprisals for those who remained across the sea and the assembly as the new Jaegerists chant. Hitch and Rico are still visible there. Niccolo and Kaya are going about their business, the one I believe Sasha saved. The battle that began that day will never come to an end, not until Eldia passes away or unless those opposing them give up in the same manner as the previous generations. Titan shifters journey by boat to engage with Historia, and the Jaegerists gather around a table with Armin reading the letter that Historia had written and sent to them. Annie queries Armin about the progress of this work. According to Armin, they betrayed the island, killed the most honourable man among the Eldian people, Eren, and, to exacerbate the situation, they are today the Allied nations' ambassadors over the sea. Peak would not be shocked if they were to properly attack them. Connie informs them here that her first action was to safeguard John's loved ones, and his mother comes first though. They will be curious to know when they see the narrative of how the two sets of individuals attempting to murder one another were first able to awaken and put everything on hold in order to battle for the safety of the planet, then promote peace. Mikasa is at ease while this is going on, awaiting their arrival to see Eren and his tomb beside the identical tree from the first episode of the show. As we can see, Paradis has advanced significantly in rebuilding since the walls no longer exist. The only remnants of the wounds on the earth are the rumbling scars. Mikasa states that she misses Eren so much, and right as she begins to cry, a bird lands and encircles the scarf back around Mikasa, signifying that since there is no longer any war, they are now free. A nightmare of hatred beyond the walls that Eren desired to let go of has now at last ended. Memorying what he did for her, Mikasa recalls the most significant recollection of every moment that Eren has shared with her, the most important being when he wrapped the scarf around her to shield and maintain her. As time goes by, Mikasa becomes older and warmer. Unable to move and relying only on a wheelchair to move around and in the vicinity of her family, she makes one final visit to his tomb. Long since realizing that Paradis has greatly industrialized using vehicles and enormous structures as the trees have expanded even more since the first time. She showed her grandchild Eren's grave, and she herself was barely alive at the conclusion of her existence. Being able to do so aids in placing the last flower she'll ever give Eren for his gravestone, since she subsequently dies from aging while keeping the scarf wrapped around her from Eren all those years ago. After additional time elapses, the tree is seen to be growing over the years as the battle cycle begins once more. As many years, cities are destroyed, but the only thing that is still there is Eren's final resting place. Time goes by, and the tree is now enormous. And a girl who kind of resembles Mikasa discovers that tree with her dog on the exact hill that gave rise to everything. That conflict is what Eren said would occur. War never alters, and regardless of how much time has passed, perhaps humanity's need for conflict and strife will inevitably force them back into the combat zone with hate crimes. Attack on Titan serves as an illustration of the human cycle of creating issues, resolving them, moving past them, and eventually beginning conflict once again. The way the battles are fought is the sole distinction. Eren was unable to resolve disputes long term, but he may promise that a group of friends passed away peacefully, which was the exact objective he wished to accomplish. Start by getting rid of all of the Titans. He knew better than anyone else that there would be no opportunity for harmony in the Eldians' future without eradicating them, and he did just that. Apart from that, Attack on Titan is a narrative concerning the battle of human conflict, and the narratives of the individuals within it focus on how war has never and will not shift, and that conflicts always exist. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment below with your thoughts on the series finale. Consider subscribing as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Check out my previous video, and with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!